Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we are taking a look at the Cambridge. This is a tier 9 American heavy cruiser, almost battle cruiser. You're getting Alaska guns with cruiser dispersion on what looks like a Tulsa hull. It is very powerful. Notice we also have a super heel. So purely a gun platform. This does not have a radar, but absolutely incredible. If you find yourself a little annoyed with battle cruiser dispersion from time to time on something like Alaska, well, Cambridge might be the solution for you. We're looking at it today because it is finally back for sale in the summer festival. The Sunset Bundles specifically, which should be live now or maybe in a few days from this video going up. 21,800 doubloons is still a lot of money to spend, of course. But this ship is available in a non-admiral bundle. It's not just available for real money. You can spend your doubloons as well as not being in some gambling Wishing Wharf style event either. So I'm pretty happy with that overall. Cambridge, though, is a very, very interesting ship to take a look at, as we've also had the Fort Worth release recently. Now, if you watch those videos, I wasn't the biggest fan of Fort Worth for several reasons. The main gun DPM, feeling a little bit lacking in alpha damage sometimes. Felt like I was waiting 20 seconds for Baltimore level salvos. Cambridge fixes a lot of those problems. So our DPM isn't like that much better. 123,000 on the HE, 256,000 on the AAP. Fort Worth is 95k HE, 175k on the AAP, but has that reload booster. We don't have access to that here, so it's only slightly better than Alaska DPM. Trading off radar utility and some tankiness, notably. We don't have the very tanky hull that Alaska has, but neither does Fort Worth. That was my other big complaint about the Fort Worth, if you remember, was that it was very large, had a large citadel, took a lot of damage, and had less than normal healing for a tier 9. It has one less heal, and a standard heal at that. Cambridge has super healing, absolutely crazy. Comparing it to things like Tulsa and Buffalo, certainly has less DPM. We would expect that though, given the caliber of guns. These are full-on Alaska guns here. This isn't that middle step that Fort Worth has, 254s. This is full 305s, so into battleships at medium to, let's say, close range. You can actually citadel them. Still has the very nice improved pen angle AAP, so when you get crazy disperse, look at that rear gun. Back turret, best turret, anybody? Yeah, you munch through cruisers with this ship. You have the awesome 60 to 68 degree pen angles. Alaska gets these as well. We're familiar with those with American ships, but having that on accurate 305s is very, very fun. This super heal, by the way, very nice. You get 40% of your HP back in 20 seconds with an 80-second cooldown. But you gotta be careful, okay? You gotta be careful. You only repair 50% of pen damage, which is normal, okay? That's totally normal. But when you have this much healing in your back pocket, notice how our heal is not gonna get us anywhere close to our full HP again. That's the problem. It's one of the reasons like Valparaiso is so busted, is that its super heal heals back like 85% pen damage. You never really run into this situation where you're missing HP and it's not really healable. Cambridge is not like that. We'll also repair 33% of a citadel damage. So taking citadels, even worse. And we are very vulnerable to taking that because our ship gets overmatched everywhere. And we do have an above water citadel we got to look out for. So some serious downsides to this ship, which I like to see. But the strengths, the strengths of these main guns is so much fun. We're, of course, taking the Hydro instead of defensive AA. Because we don't have a radar, it's really nice in the situations where I do end up pushing up to islands. As you'll see throughout this video, we want to push up, use those common cruiser islands, not for radar support, but really just for gun support. We want to isolate fights. In this one, we took control of one corner of the map. The enemy team got everything else. So we're pushing to the middle islands here. We're going to really focus on making sure the enemy team who's pushing the 1, 2, 3 line can't actually get shots at us while we deal with their enemy ships one by one that are pushing towards the B cap here. So in shooting an Eisenhower here, notice Mayoko, Izumo, Plius, or Pilus, whatever it is, can't actually get a shot at us. This is really important for playing a ship like Cambridge. Yeah, you got a super heal, but you're still gonna die very, very quickly with this ship. You gotta play smart, and this ship will generally reward you with some very, very good games. I think the HE is also well worth using. I got a bit of an HE farming example after this match. This is a little more AP focused. But you do get some decent fire chance, 27% here, 51 millimeters a pen, really nice for dealing with Libertads or German battleships, that sort of thing. Plenty of battleships have 50 millimeters of armor, and we can actually get through that, which is really nice. Even though it's not the best at that HE farmer role, there are plenty of better HE farmers. It's still respectable, 7.8 fires per minute. Something like Tulsa is 8.7 fires per minute, Buffalo 10 fires. So you're not as good of an HE farmer, but let's remember what we got in our back pocket here is accurate Alaska guns on this ship with a decently fast reload. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, you get 3 less shells compared to Alaska, but I really loved having just a faster reload in general. 12.5 second reload base. We can buff that up a lot, of course. You're seeing a sub 10 second reload here very often, where Alaska has a 20-second reload base. There's a big difference there, I guess, in vibes, I would say. It feels much more like a normal cruiser as far as how often you're shooting, versus the awkward middle ground that I find battle cruisers often fill between a full battleship and a normal cruiser. I'm not expecting the massive salvos out of Cambridge every salvo because I'm shooting quite often. But when I'm getting closer to battleship reload, I'm starting to expect a little bit more damage per salvo, and maybe why I was very critical of Fort Worth. Fort Worth also having a massive hull. Cambridge is rather small, right? That's the other element here, is that we have way more healing, but also it's a rather small hull. So it's not like we're eating a ton of overmatch damage at longer. It happens still, okay? Don't get me wrong. You're still going to get overmatch smashed. You got to watch out. You got to play these islands. But in comparison, let's say, to something like Fort Worth, it feels so much better. And yes, there is that Halsey Confederate buff, or whatever they're calling it. It's a Halsey Confederate buff. Even faster reload goes a little bit hard here, and we're gonna need it as the enemy team is still ahead on points. We have more ships, but we gotta step on this cap rather soon, and they are controlling it. And with a Cambridge, saving our HP to that late game, as always with cruisers, helps a lot. We don't have to worry about nearly as many crossfires. We don't have to worry about as much overmatch. We can actually make some really fun pushes with this ship, as we're going to see. Of these ships, though, with Alaska style guns or larger caliber guns, so looking at the Cambridge, Alaska, the Fort Worth, even things like Puerto Rico, I think Cambridge is the most interesting if you enjoy accurate, consistent salvos. If you're okay with giving up the tankiness and that radar utility, which, let's be honest, having a radar is extremely valuable for winning games. And it does hurt for Cambridge to give that up. And there's that armor difference. Super heal, not healing a whole lot back here. But we do have the guns to actually take out the Izumo here. And if we can stay angled, hopefully Neptune, Myoko actually aren't going to finish us off here. It's all about, can you keep this ship alive long enough to make these guns work? Because if you can hold up, you can make it survive, the guns are not going to let you down, for the most part. I really wish that Neptune had died there. It's, of course, not going to be as fun to play this ship if you already find high-tier cruiser play difficult with all the very long-range overmatch, the early spotting that you have to deal with, the enemies that often play very far away from the battle, meaning that our 16 kilometers range isn't that useful into some of those battles. I think Cambridge is not going to be your enjoyment then. It's definitely not a situation like Rhode Island where, yeah, it's very, very expensive, but Rhode Island is just kind of ridiculously powerful in basically every situation we get it into. Cambridge is not that. It is a ridiculously powerful ship in the right situation. And getting that situation isn't the easiest these days. It takes a lot of effort and knowledge as far as what islands to play, depending on how the enemy team plays and how your team plays. Also, the matchmaker can sometimes just give you games where Cambridge feels locked out. So I don't want to portray this one as the incredible damage dealer, extremely fun flanker Alaska gun ship that I'm showing. It definitely is that at times, but it's not always going to feel that way. Swapping over to HE, farming a Jean Bart here. We do have that 27 millimeters of armor, so I say we get overmatched everywhere. It's mainly because we often see ourselves up tiered into tier 10s and even super ships where it's very common to have 406 and above guns that overmatch us. But against the Jean Bart, we do not. So him trying to HE farm us back means our super heal is actually going to work out quite well. We see, though, the individual salvos are not all that impressive. We're firing more often, which is why I'm not as frustrated by it, but getting 2,000 to 3,000 damage in a fire every salvo, every 10 seconds or so, does not feel that good. It feels fine enough in this situation, knowing what we have in our back pocket if we have the chance to get the AP going. But if you do find yourself just sticking with HE, farming with this ship, I don't think you're going to get the most out of it. I think there are plenty of better options. A Tulsa probably gets similar damage per salvo, just fires twice as often, that kind of idea. Along with missing out on that radar, be very useful right about now to know if I'm getting rushed by a mini Gumo or the Carnot and Ruprecht have turned around. The Hydro obviously can help us out when enemies are extremely close to us, but oftentimes that is not going to be as good as a radar. In this case, it will help us to take out this mini Gumo. Look at that heal. When you get the full heal, it is pretty fun as well. The accuracy, as soon as we're hitting shells on a destroyer, the damage ramps very nicely. Into these destroyer engagements versus like Alaska guns, I would say the damage output is pretty similar at medium ranges, where Alaska dispersion, battlecruiser dispersion, is worse than cruiser dispersion. Still quite good, but it is definitely worse at longer ranges. So Alaska per salvo probably would be doing a little more in this situation because the mini Gumo was just so close. But at those 7 to 8 kilometer ranges where you may be finding the destroyer engagements with Alaska radar, if Cambridge gets them spotted, maybe a teammate gets them spotted for you, I think the salvos will be pretty similar because of the advantage Cambridge brings with its accuracy, and then it'll be shooting more. So interesting trade-offs here with the Cambridge. Now, Carnot rushing around the corner, had to check if he had torpedoes, because that would be a big problem for us. In this case, though, don't have to worry about that. We do take a bit of damage, I think, into our superstructure there from his guns. We are going to bounce them. And notice, no citadels. I was a little disappointed while playing this that I was not getting those citadels. I thought for sure with Alaska guns, we have enough pen. Surely the improved pen angles allow us to get through. But no, we were just getting those full pens. It's enough to actually take them out, though, fortunately, so we can get back to trying to farm down this Jean Bart. Skipping through some just pretty boring HE spamming here, where we are getting that 1,000 to 3,000 damage per... It's not that impressive once the Jean Bart is saturated here. We are getting some fires, but not that... It's not meant for this. This is not the role of a Cambridge. It can do it if need be, but this is not the role. This is not where I want my Cambridge to be. I want to be finding those broadsides. I want to be catching them out with that armor piercing. Even at range, we can do some very nice damage. Notice we did get some solid damage into this game, even though I was mostly firing HE out of this match with some opportune armor piercing. We still get there, but I really just love the AP on this ship when I get those opportunities to catch the cruisers, even the battleships out at these medium ranges. Upper belt pens can do a lot with this ship. And as you can tell, I definitely enjoy playing the Cambridge. Whether or not it's worth it for the money, 21,800 doubloons is still a lot. And of course, that is going to be up to you, whether that is worth it or not. There are similar experiences we can find in the tech tree. I think even just playing a Buffalo with the 12-203s into cruisers in particular, because the AP is still going to smash them and get citadels, it's going to feel pretty similar, okay? You don't have to spend the money to get a similar playstyle, but if you are interested, this one is notably quite fun. And it's a 6-gun ship. Maybe you're surprised at that, myself included sometimes, but the dispersion here legitimately is good enough to make a 6-gun ship fun to play. And welcome to the live battle. We'll do one of these for this ship as... this is our matchmaker. It's going to be hard. Normally, I would love to push up to the island in the sea cap, but that is not going to happen when there is a carrier in the game. We need to play a little bit more of a conservative island. So, Des Moines shot, we get 4,000 damage. That's all right. Not amazing. Could have been better. The other thing to consider here is actually the Yorktown is sort of just playing this flank out. I don't necessarily want to stay here then, because if I sit on an island against a carrier, I am going to have a bad time. I promise you that. So I think I'm actually going to kite away, as weird as that is. Now, unfortunately, we're going to be very open to whoever is spawned here. Hopefully we can get that turn in time. Yeah, this is awkward. Playing this ship into carrier subflanks like this is very, very, very awkward. However, what's less awkward is a Des Moines doing that. That is great news for us. He's getting the worst possible drop angle, right? We're broadside onto him. So that is how we'll take a little bit less damage there. Unfortunately, we did not get the Citadel into the Des Moines. Look at that dispersion. Please, back to our best turret 2.0. No! Unfortunate. I've now turned back into the island here, as you can see. It's because the carrier has gone a bit to the other side. We also have a Colombo moving this way to maybe support us. So maybe we can make this work. Key is turned around as well. Looks like the sub is going to try surfacing. Let's go. Maybe Colombo. Get us a nice little one-shot here. That would be lovely. Whoa, that's quite the push from the Des Moines. That's an insane push from the Des Moines. Wait, you're caught in such a crossfire, brother. All right. Let's hydro. Make sure we're not going to get potentially smashed by the torps from the submarine. Yeah, as soon as I go to the island, right, the carrier is just instantly after us. It's really challenging. The sub has indeed torped us. That's going to force me forward here. It's going to make things a bit of a challenge. I repped because we have a bit of downtime here before the next ping comes through, and that should help me to avoid those. Okay, our hydro push has spotted the Des Moines out, although we're very lucky that we didn't have to deal with the crossfire from the enemy in the middle here. Okay, our blind drop actually got the flood, our fire on him, so... Okay. Maybe I can pull this back. I get a little doomer. I apologize. I get a little doomer when it's sub-carrier stuff. Key is going to go broadside. I don't think we're at the range where I can actually Citadel him. Does this island cover me? I think it does. Yeah, we get the shatter. That's okay. Go upper belt. Here we go. This is more like it. 4K. That's fine. Not getting my rear turret, I think, is why the damage is a little lower. Need all those guns. There we go. 10K salvo. Quite nice. And we get our rears this time. So he's going to be broadside onto our guys in the south here. Another 10K. Lovely. Although now he is angled, so I'll swap to the HE. I know the improved pen angles are pretty good, but I think we'll go HE. He just uses damage control. We can see the little lights. Nice work, Kansas. Plane spotted. It's a little scary given where Wisconsin might be. Yeah, okay, there he is. We should be able to use this island to help us against him, but this is a problematic spot to be in. Again, trying to keep the ship alive is usually the challenge. Here's the thing, though. Wisconsin's pushing out very broadside on. The torps coming through. He might get taken out by those torpedoes or Kansas, that kind of thing. I think I can use the corner of this island, actually. Yorktown's going to get away. I wanted to greed for that, maybe. All right, I have overpushed this corner now. Let's reverse. I think it's HE, actually. Here's the play for now. I'm creating the crossfire, basically. So if he doesn't want to show broadside to me, we're fine with that because he's just getting smashed by my team, all right? But if he angles to my team, then that's where we push out and absolutely wreck him, right? So we're not getting the damage, but we're providing that amazing crossfire for holding this guy in. Maybe he would have stayed that way anyway. Who knows? But his heel's very strong. Okay. Now we can try to push up even further. So they're now kind of turtled in one quadrant of the map. It's a bad thing to not control very much of the map as far as crossfires go. Spotting as well. So it's a big advantage for us into this mid and late game. I would also love to maybe just take out the carrier straight up here. Either we can get him or he pushes out, you know, to get away from us, and then Colombo gets the crossfire, right? Crossfires are really big deal. Really big deal. Buffalo is angled, so I'm not gonna go for him. Massachusetts, good that he is not closer to supporting his Yorktown. Aiming too high. I think if we hit the stern, we might get some nice damage. Let's aim there. Yeah, there we go. That's more like it. See the Massachusetts? He's pushing out, probably to try and go after us, but also maybe get away from my team here a little bit. Yes, the Citadels! So I want to, ideally, turn in here so that maybe I can avoid the damage by getting behind this island. Likely he gets a shot into us. He's not looking! Okay, excellent. And we do manage to take out the carrier. That is great news. So now with these guys pushing this way, I am going to get into the island cover. See how as soon as, you know, we don't have to deal with the crossfire from here or the enemy team in here. I mean, we kind of have them in there, but not much. You get to play so much more aggressive. You get to find these flanks. I shouldn't have been so doomer. We managed to survive the carrier sub onslaught stuff. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm just dead. Did not think Massachusetts would get the angle that quickly. This is gonna hurt. Yep. We live it, though, somehow. Nice. I'm surprised we're not getting these citadels into the shill there. Let's duck into this island. Yeah, that's bad damage. All right, let's try this again into the shill. He's quite angled now. There's his torpedoes. Good to know. Oh, he's going to go broadside for us. That's very kind of him. We can also get a flank on the Massachusetts here, who is fighting our Kansas at the moment. There's the Citadels. I knew it. I knew you had it in you. And we can even arc that. That's really nice. Come on, get him. No, not quite. All right, Massachusetts is turning his gun, so we got to be a little careful. Although I'm broadside on now to the shill. This could hurt us. Overpen, get lucky. All right, we get lucky. Very cool. But yeah, I saw Massachusetts was turning his turrets because he had dealt with our Kansas. So we don't need to rush into that fight. He'll probably just die to the carrier. I could also try to poke my nose and get him to actually just hit under our turrets because our Citadel only starts under our superstructure. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, he's dead anyway. Fair enough. 135. Not bad. Not bad. Turned out okay. I had to play very weird at the start, though. You know, just trying to go for the island play early would have been horrible into this one. We even got an E. Wow. I should not have been so doomer early on. My apologies, guys. But usually these games do not turn out like this. I suppose what I did correctly was waited out the carrier and sub by not committing to an island position, allowing me to play far enough back near my teammates who had some AA support, and then I was able to push back up to the position I wanted to get into at the end after they had decided to leave us alone. That's I guess what I had to do. It's not as enjoyable though. And that's about all I'll say on that, as we don't need to get another video with another carrier sub rant. Let's just enjoy Cambridge, shall we? Here is the build that I was running. Yes, steering gears instead of conceal. Your best detect is actually very, very good. It is sub 10 kilometers here, which is awesome. But for me, I like having the rudder to maybe deal with those situations where we need to avoid salvos or try to dodge carriers or subs, that kind of thing. It's really useful to have a 5.2 second rudder, in my opinion. And we're not making use of concealment in conjunction with our radar range because there is no radar on this ship. Otherwise, pretty standard. I would not go range mod. The guns just get really floaty. You can, if you find yourself really struggling to get into range of anything, but I think reload is the way to go. And here's the build that I was running. Yes, even running one Cope AA mod, these don't really do a whole lot, but I find my game sense is good enough that I don't need priority target. And these other two are not very good on Cambridge in particular. We already have high base fire chance. This isn't helping us much. We don't have a radar. Our hydro already lasts long enough. I will say if you're just swapping a commander over from a different cruiser, because premiums you can do that, this ship doesn't need a whole lot to be good. I would say you probably just want conceal, you want top grade, and you want adrenaline rush. You don't even necessarily need to take heavy AP. It's very good on this ship, but it's not great on a whole lot of other cruisers like the tech trade cruisers. So definitely gun feeder, and grease gears is very useful as well. Here is your armor layout, by the way. Yeah, 27 everywhere. It hurts into tier 9 matchmaker these days. And here's what I was talking about with that citadel. We have an above water citadel, but it only starts under our superstructure and ends under our superstructure. So where our turrets are, it's so far below water that you can't, it's risky, but you can poke your nose where you're only exposing up to here, like this whole side of your ship is hidden. And if the enemy shoots here at close range, they won't get the plunging fire to actually hit your citadel. That's what I was thinking of, but we didn't have to deal with that in this one. Over here in the Summer Festival Sunset bundles, there's quite a few good ships, man. Rhode Island, Cambridge, Grau, Royal Sovereign, even Sarugi might be okay. I've started playing it for maybe a video. We'll see. I got an okay one already. Pretty good set. The Sunrise bundles, really for me, it was Suzia, maybe Nanning. The Sunset bundles are where the better ships are at. So if you've kind of been saving up, then we'll take a look at most of these. So Cambridge, Rhode Island, still expensive. All right, I'm not going to deny that. It is still very expensive to get yourself into a Cambridge here. But unique playstyle, giving you a mix of Tulsa hull and Alaska guns that are accurate with a super heal. Just don't have that radar, and your armor is certainly lacking in comparison to an Alaska. Still though, I had a lot of fun today, and I think you can get a similar playstyle through some of the tech tree ships. Whether you want the large guns, maybe go for Marseille line. That ship with its reload booster gains you consistency through that consumable. Or if you want the fast firing, nimble-ish hull that like a Tulsa might have, that sort of thing. Even just going for a regular Buffalo up through to Des Moines. It's hard to ships to play these days, let's be honest, but into cruisers in particular, the guns feel pretty similar. That American 203 is very potent into cruisers. It's only into battleships where you start to notice at the closer ranges, the Alaska guns start to allow you to citadel them, which is quite fun. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.